Hello, everyone. Jeff, Jonathan, McDonough, welcome back. Hasn't been the same without you. What a great group. Good afternoon, everyone. Today, alongside leaders, I might add, of both parties in the Senate, I am honored to announce my 5th nomination to the New Jersey Supreme Court. Barring any unexpected events, please God, this will be the last Supreme Court pick of my administration. I'm also honored to have reappointed Associate Justice Ann Patterson. And it is fitting that I make this final announcement from the governor's outer office, which is adorned with the portraits of my most recent predecessors. Their presence here reminds us that our legacies live on well after our time in office. There's no gathering related to former governors without a Brendan Byrne anecdote. Hello, Kevin. My last piece of advice from Governor Christie before he handed the baton over to me, he said, listen, by the way, I have a deal with Governor Byrne. I want to make sure you're aware of it. So what's the deal, Chris? He said, well, this is less relevant today. There's the living governors, and then there's the not living governors. And Brendan went to Chris and said, please, God, will you always keep my portrait as long as you're governor in the living governor's room? And he said, I wanted to impart that on to you. So sadly, we've lost Brendan and now Jim Florio, but that's the informal name of this room. And one important aspect of any New Jersey governor's legacy is how well they preserve our judiciary, which is one of the crown jewels of our great state and is so vital to maintaining the people's trust in the rule of law. As each of the governors in this room would likely tell you, maintaining the integrity and independence of our state's judiciary means at times making difficult decisions. In 1986, Governor Kane decided to renominate Chief Justice Robert Wilentz, who had been the subject of much ideological criticism from the right. But nonetheless, Governor Kane recognized that Chief Justice Wilentz had served with honor and integrity and thus deserved to be renominated. After a hard-fought battle in the Senate, Governor Kane was able to win the 21 votes necessary for the Chief Justice's reappointment. Acts of political courage like this have helped ensure that our court remains a national model for states across the country. And it is a story that provides a welcome contrast to other judicial bodies in these hyper-divided times in which we live. And just as his 6 colleagues have, Justice Lee Solomon has served honorably our state for decades. As someone who had served as a member of the General Assembly, a member of Governor Christie's cabinet, and a lower court judge, he brought a wealth of experience from across all of state government when he was appointed to the New Jersey Supreme Court in 2014. And not surprisingly, for the past 10 years, all of New Jersey has benefited from his wisdom and perspectives. In August, Justice Solomon will reach the mandatory retirement age of 70. And on behalf of all New Jersey, I want to thank him for his dedicated service and wish him the very best in his next life chapters. To fill his shoes and to maintain the current partisan balance on our court, I am incredibly honored and pleased to announce that I will be nominating John Hoffman to be an Associate Justice of the New Jersey Supreme Court. As many will attest, John is already a pillar of New Jersey's legal community. Like Justice Solomon, he has devoted almost the entirety of his career to public service. After graduating from Colgate University and Duke Law School, John joined the U.S. Department of Justice in 1996 as a trial attorney in the Civil Division. In 2004, he joined the U.S. Attorney's Office here in Trenton to protect the people of New Jersey as a prosecutor of both violent and white-collar crime. In 2010, he moved to the state comptroller's office to serve as their director of investigations. And 2 years later, he went on to the Department of Law and Public Safety to assume the post of Executive Assistant Attorney General. And following the appointment of Attorney General Chiesa, who is with us today, Jeff, God bless you, to the United States Senate in 2013, Governor Christie selected John to serve as acting Attorney General on this very day, exactly 11 years ago. And John just showed me a photograph signed by Governor Christie, the highlight of which is Johnny fast asleep on the carpet. Johnny, stay with us today, please. John would go on to discharge the duties of Attorney General for nearly 3 years. And under his leadership, the Department of Law and Public Safety combated the opioid crisis, reformed procedures for investigating officer-involved shootings, and mandated the use of body-worn cameras by the state police. Additionally, John also worked to build new bonds of trust among law enforcement on the one hand and communities of faith on the other. In recognition, in fact, of this commitment in 2016, he received both the Jewish Community Service Award and the American Muslim Union Award. After leaving the Christie administration, John was appointed as general counsel at Rutgers, where he provides legal advice and counsel to the leadership of our state's flagship university. I'm honored, among others, Dr. Jonathan Holloway, its president, is with us today. Great to have you with us, Jonathan. And again, welcome back to our friend McDonough. And over the past few years, John has grappled with the same challenges facing institutions of higher education across the nation, including a once-in-a-century pandemic and debates surrounding the freedom of speech on college campuses. John's career of service to New Jersey, while remarkable, is not entirely surprising given his upbringing. He was born in New Brunswick, raised in Middlesex County, where his father, John A. Hoffman, is the legendary senior partner at Wilentz, Goldman & Spitzer, having practiced law there for over 60 years, and your son, John, confirmed that you still go in there every single day. God bless you, sir. Great to have you with us. John's late mother, Judith Hoffman, I know she's looking down with pride, was also a fixture of the Middlesex County community, serving as a nurse as well as an active volunteer in efforts to save lives from cancer and multiple sclerosis. Growing up in the greater Wilentz family changed John's life in more ways than one. At the firm, John's father practiced law with Stuart Cox for a half a century, I might add. And over time, the two of them, along with their wives, both named Judith, and it's good to see Mrs. Cox after so many years, also became close friends. A little over 2 decades ago, they decided to set their kids up on a blind date. Well, fast forward to today, and John and Mary Jude Cox, who is Stuart and Judith's daughter, are now happily married. Mary Jude, for her part, is an accomplished ophthalmologist and a glaucoma specialist in Voorhees. Together, she and John have 2 children with us today. Johnny just turned 14, belated happy birthday, and Maggie, age 10. It's an incredible honor to have you 2 with us. Now, they are both extraordinary kids, and Johnny is a rather uber extraordinary 14-year-old. On Christmas Eve, several years ago, he was diagnosed with a rare form of leukemia. Thankfully, he's now in remission, and he has started his very own foundation to donate blankets to children in the hospital during the holidays. Johnny, your bravery and compassion is an inspiration to all of us. And what an amazing testament it is to the values that were instilled in both of you, you and your sister Maggie, sitting right beside you, Maggie, we see you, the very same values that your dad will now bring to the New Jersey Supreme Court. So I want to take this opportunity to congratulate John, along with the entire Hoffman and Cox families who are with us today on this momentous accomplishment. Congratulations to you all, and thank you for being with us. It is no secret that right now we are in the midst of yet another divisive national election year. And at times like these, it is all the more important that here in New Jersey, we continue to put the integrity of our prized judiciary beyond the reach of partisan politics. In that spirit, I am deeply grateful to be joined today by Senate President Nick Scuteri, who you will hear from in a few moments, Senator John Bramnick. I know Senator Minority Leader Tony Bucco wanted to be here and sends his best wishes. I thank them for their support on both sides of the aisle for John's nomination, and I look forward to working with them, along with Senate Judiciary Chairman Brian Stack and all of their colleagues, to see that John is confirmed before the start of the court's fall term. There are many folks to thank, most importantly our senators. I also want to thank Chief Counsel Paramel Garg, who has shepherded this through from moment one and will continue to do so through confirmation. And when the members of the court take their seats in September, I know they will continue to serve our state with honor for many years to come. I also want to acknowledge the presence of the great First Lady of the great state of New Jersey. Tammy Murphy is with us, and it is now my honor and pleasure to invite my partner in government, Lieutenant Governor Tahisha Way, to come on up and say a few words. Come on down, Tahisha.
Good afternoon to everybody, and I'm going to keep this brief because, as our great Governor Phil Murphy noted, we want to ensure that Johnny stays with us. So, it is my distinct honor to join with Gov Murphy and all of you today for this announcement of John Hoffman to our state highest court. As a former state judge, I know that a full bench at our Supreme Court is essential to justice. New Jersey Supreme Court has historically protected and secured the rights of all New Jerseyans, clarified the constitutionality of critical government programs, and ensured fairness from our lower courts. Attorneys and judges look to the highest court to set the tone for our state. So, I'm thrilled that we will strengthen the court today by adding John to their ranks. John brings decades of public and private sector legal experience at the highest level. He has answered the call to serve repeatedly throughout his storied career. So today we are calling upon him to serve all of us, using his wisdom and experiences to shape New Jersey's future. Thank you once more, John, for your commitment to the great people of New Jersey and to liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Tahisha, thank you, and God bless you in your many capacities, including, as you rightfully put out, as a former judge. It is now my great honor and pleasure to introduce another great leader. Please help me welcome the Senate President, Senator Nick Scuteri.
Thank you, Governor. Losing my voice here, you probably could tell, but first, I want to congratulate Governor Murphy. He has done an outstanding job over these last years appointing outstanding folks to our Supreme Court. And that's one of the most important jobs that he has. And I want to thank his staff, and I want to particularly thank Governor Murphy for ensuring the partisan balance on this court with outstanding folks. And John Hoffman's going to join those ranks. I couldn't be prouder for the job you've done, Governor. Congratulations. And as you can see, the bipartisan spirit, you even got Chiesa out here. And Bramnick, that in which you made this nomination. I'm really thrilled for the people of the state of New Jersey. I'm even confident that you could do it at the appellate division, Governor, but we'll see that for another day. But John Hoffman brings all the attributes that we would want in a justice. And most importantly, he's sacrificing. A person of his intellect, his experience, his earning capacity. This really, truly is an impact on his family but John sees the value in public service and is willing to answer the call of the people of the state of New Jersey. In this instance, and we say this many times, but in this instance, it's acutely accurate to say thank you, John, for what you're doing for the people of the state of New Jersey. His sacrifice for the people will be felt for decades, and not everybody would be willing to do that. I can tell you. I don't know if Bramnick and I would do it. I can tell you that. But I know that a person of John's intellect, of his integrity, of his professionalism, we couldn't ask for a better person. I've known him for many, many years in his role as Attorney General. While he was here under the Christie administration, you know, Governor Christie and I had our ups and downs, right, Jeff? But at the end, he usually saw it my way. And that's why we got the Supreme Court that's working out so well now. Just takes a couple of terms to get the governors on board. But in this instance, you couldn't have done a better job. I'm really, really thrilled with this election of John Hoffman. And if he has any questions when he's on there, he can go to his dad, who probably knows everything about everybody that we've ever dealt with in this business. But he joins a really distinct group of folks that the governor has put forward. This really does set an example for the rest of the nation. New Jersey does it right. The way we pick judges with the gubernatorial nomination process and the confirmation process. In many, many other states, and people don't realize this, they have to run for office to be on the Supreme Court. They have to solicit donations. They have to knock on doors. And we can't even possibly fathom that. This process, to me, is so much more professional, dignified, and creates such a better product. I couldn't be prouder of what our governor has done to this court these last few years. You've done an amazing job. I know that you'll get the support of the Senate. We're going to work through our process like we always do, but I can tell them, and I'm happy to report to them, that this individual certainly has all the attributes to be a really outstanding justice for decades to come. With that, I want to say congratulations to John and his family. Wish you the best of luck. And again, congratulations to Paramount, but most importantly to you, Governor. Great job. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Nick, thank you. You likely know, but Nick himself is an outstanding lawyer, former chair of the Judiciary Committee before his time as Senate President. So he knows from whence he speaks, and I can't thank you enough for your gracious words. And same right back to you. The process embedded at the center of this is an advice and consent process, and that works really well. And that's thanks to the leadership on both sides of the aisle, but beginning with the Senate President in the Senate. Again, thank you, Nick, for being here and for your gracious words and your leadership. It is now last but not least, for sure, it is now my great honor to introduce my nominee as Associate Justice for the New Jersey Supreme Court. Please help me welcome John Hoffman.
Thank you, Governor. Thank you for your incredibly warm introduction. Thank you for this unbelievable opportunity. And thank you for having patience with me on Friday when you asked me a question that every lawyer in New Jersey dreams to be asked, and I took about 30 seconds to come out with some verbalization of a response. I appreciate that incredibly. I am not usually stuck for words like that, but this time I was. I can only remember it actually once before. I was at Rockefeller Center. I had a diamond in my hand and the most wonderful woman in the world in front of me, and nothing came out of my mouth. So that seemed to work out okay. And, but I appreciate your having certainly heard the roar that was in my silence. Paramount, I don't know where you, there you are, of course, right here. Thank you for walking me through this incredibly mysterious process. Thank you for your class, your professionalism. Thank you for the budding friendship that we have developed over the course of the past couple of years. You are an incredible credit to this administration. Lieutenant Governor, we spoke. You said some beautiful words that I appreciate, but the last word that you said and the words that we spoke very briefly together are what resonate to me, and that is one of blessings. And we are all so incredibly blessed to be in the positions that we are, And thank you for recognizing that, and thank you for reinforcing that. I do feel so incredibly blessed today. Senate President Scutari, we have been having conversations for decades about difficult topics and difficult issues. You have always been exhibited and been such a class partner in many ways. We have been candid with each other, we have debated issues, but you have represented collegiality, and you have represented what it means to be a true legislator for the state of New Jersey. Thank you so much for that. I'd also like to thank the Judicial Advisory Panel that I was able to meet with. Boy, they're a hot bench, I'll tell you that much. And they should be, they better be. And they push and they prod and they poke as they should, and it was an honor to have an opportunity to sit before them. This is an incredibly humbling moment in my life. In preparation for this moment, Governor, I looked at Justice Fiscali's introduction, and you read a quote in Justice Fiscali's introduction from the New York Times, and it had to do with the state Supreme Court and the imprimatur, the power, the incredible success that our Supreme Court has had, and the reputation that has been built by icons of the Supreme Court. I am fortunate enough to have learned from many of those justices that have been on our Supreme Court. My first interview for a job in New Jersey, and my first boss was Chief Justice Stuart Rabner, who's done, from my perspective, an incredible job presiding over a court of brilliant and dedicated justices who set the standard for what anyone should aspire to be if they come to this podium. But it didn't start there. I was privy to the wisdom and the genius of Robert Wilentz. And I may not have appreciated it very much at the time because he was sitting at the dinner table with my mother and my father, with his wife, and I was in pajamas carrying some sort of a stuffed animal. But you could tell that guy was really, really smart. And my father told me, he's really, really smart. You see, he was my father's mentor. I also know what it's like to withstand the rigor of a Barry Albin searing questioning. You see, I got it as a 19-year-old. And boy, it was never easy then. And what a phenomenal justice that Justice Albin has been. But I've had the benefit and the fortune of learning from many judges who have taught me what it is and what it is like to be a wonderful judge, a true judge. I clerked on the Sixth Circuit United States Court of Appeals for Al Engel. Al Engel was an 18-year judge on the United States Court of Appeals, but he was a year and a half as a trial judge. But he never stopped being a trial judge. And I'd sit down at his desk and I would present a legal issue to him, and it would have come up to the U.S. Court of Appeals, and he'd say, "Stop. Tell me, who are the parties? Who's affected by this? Who's impacted? I don't know." I still remember, I'll never remember what he would say. "I don't want to know the what or the why until you tell me the who." He would say, "Justice, John, is not about our words or our books. It is about people. Never forget the impact on each and every one of them." But I would say that from a perspective of judging and being a Supreme Court justice, that the best role model I have didn't wear a black robe, but taught me every day about integrity, hard work, decisiveness, fairness, respect, character, humanity. Thank you, Dad. I've learned from the best, and I will always strive to be better. But let me tell you one thing. I don't approach a podium like this without you. I know Mom would be incredibly proud. I know Mom's watching us right now. And I know in some sort of weird ghost movie, Demi Moore, Patrick Swayze kind of way, that she tightened my tie on the walk up here, and that she made sure that my shoes were shined last night. The irony is not lost on me that the seat that we are here talking about, the seat at issue belongs to my second boss at the U.S. Attorney's Office, Lee Solomon, Justice Solomon, who served this court with incredible dignity and with incredible respect, incredible grace, and that seat comes open on your birthday, Dad. I have tried to follow these principles that I have learned throughout my career. As a trial attorney at the Department of Justice, as a federal prosecutor in New Jersey, at the New Jersey Attorney General's Office, where I followed who I would describe as the unfollowable example of Senator Chiesa. My friend, my confidant, my brother in many ways. And I worked these last couple of years at Rutgers, where I worked with a president who steered a steady and principled ship through a series of unimaginable storms. And next to you is Senator Bramnick, who has been for decades such a wonderful friend, such a great mentor, such a brilliant legislator. Thank you, Senator Bramnick, for everything that you have done for me. Thank you so much more for everything that you do for my family and for the state of New Jersey. Nancy Brannigan, thanks for standing by my father's side and our side for the past decade with such love and support. My sister is here to join us, my lifelong best friend. My mother and father-in-law, who have been such wonderful parents-in-law, but who also brought me the greatest gift in my life. That's my wife. You better hold it together, all right? Because if you don't hold it together, I won't hold it together. So focus right here, all right? So Mary Jude, you've given so much of yourself so I could feed my soul and quench my thirst to give back to this crazy state of ours. Everybody owes you a debt of gratitude, and I owe you all the love in my heart. Mags. To my daughter, who is challenging and exceptional. You always make me dance, physically, spiritually, emotionally. Thank you for, above everything else, not wearing your Converse sneakers this morning. Johnny, who is simply put, my son, the best person I've ever met. Who has taught me that there is no hurdle that is insurmountable, and that everything can be conquered with faith, with spirit, and with love. Governor, when we sat in your office, you, at the end, asked me, in answering a question about, from my question to you, what do you think a Supreme Court justice should be? You said, well, John, do you mind if I use a baseball analogy? I said, no, of course, I'm a sports fan. It may look nerdy, but I'm a sports fan. And you said, well, I think a great Supreme Court justice should be an umpire. And a great Supreme Court justice should really know how to call balls and call strikes and be strong enough to do that. And I said, you know, that's funny because that reminds me of something. It reminds me of when I left the Attorney General's office. And I got a picture from my friend Ellie Honig, who was the chief of the criminal division. And in that picture, he said, John, we want you to hang on your wall the very quote that you told us every day in the office. And that quote was, just call it down the middle. If this works out, and God willing, it will, if we have the blessings that we have, I will promise you, Governor, that I will continue to call it down the middle. And that, two, I will never forget that it is one of us from New Jersey who's standing at the plate. Thank you.
John, that's so well done, man. God bless you. You are absolutely right. When I called you, I said I want to nominate you, and there was dead silence. I thought perhaps I had the wrong number. But I said to Paramel, not only right after that call, not only did you get emotional, but so did I. And God bless you, and you can see why. You're a first-class individual, and you're going to be a great, God willing, with Senate support, you'll be a great Associate Justice of the New Jersey Supreme Court. We were back here with John and his family just before we came out, and I've said this every time, including Ann's reappointment and the 5 nominations. I said we should get stuff off our chests because this is probably the last private conversation we may ever have, other than the day that you are, God willing, sworn in and coming to maybe a State of the State address. But this is a big day for Jersey. It's a big day for our judiciary. It's a big day for our Supreme Court, and it is certainly a big day for John Hoffman. I'm proud to stand with you. I want to thank the Lieutenant Governor, Senate President, Senator Bramnick. Jonathan, great to have you. Jeff, great to have you here as well. To your family, to Paramel, Diane, and the rest of our team, to each and every one of you, including to the members of the press. I want to say hello to you guys back there as well. Thank you all for coming. God bless you all. Thank you.